Welcome to the third Bawnjourno podcast.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, it's Joseph Gower and
Gabriele Minelli.
how is everyone doing today? We are doing our third episode, of course, and we are looking again at the wonderful Cowboy Bebop, and we're going to focus on the Ballad of Fallen Angels, episode 5, which Gabby said was one of the best ones to watch, and I took his advice. But before that, we're going to do a quick recap of episodes 2, 3, and 4, just to, well, for the viewers to catch up. How do you feel about that, Gab?
Sure, yeah, good plan.
So, number 2, episode 2, Stray Dog Strut.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I think this is a little bit, you feel there is a different vibe in the whole episode, I feel. It's, of course, an introduction episode. So this is the main role. I mean, it is needed, and is needed to be in this order because for later episodes. But this, of course, it's the introduction of Ein from Einstein, the dog of the Cowboy Bebop, right?
So his name is Ein.
Yeah, Ein.
Yes. Is that E-I-N? Like,
Yes.
like
E-I-N.
end. End, isn't it? Is it in German or no? That's
Yeah,
Ein.
is it? I don't know.
I don't
Could
know.
be. I think it.
Viewers, tell us if we're right or wrong.
That's bad. Yeah. Now, yeah, it's a funny one. We see for the first time Mars that we talked about before, right?
Yeah.
And which is, and I found this one. Mars is. It's funny because Mars is Chinese. Basically, it's Chinese planet, right?
Yeah.
Everything is a Chinese theme, like sort of Hong Kong harbor, right? Or
yeah.
Shanghai, probably.
Yeah, this Typhoon Bay in Hong Kong. It's kind of busy port.
Yeah,
that's right. But I also noticed that you also don't see that Mars is 100% colonized. It's almost like they have these kind of terraformed areas of Mars. Do you remember that scene? You kind of have a view of Mars, but they're kind of like these almost like little domed areas.
Yeah, with atmosphere, I guess. With
exactly, yeah, and it's kind of like Total Recall sort of.
Oh yeah,
sort
good
of thing.
one indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But inside, it's totally that you see, it's another love letter, but this time to Akira, I think. Right, there are a couple of details, scenes that really shows off that.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, if you're going to make an anime, you're always gonna have to touch on Akira somewhere. I mean, it's just such an incredible film. I think it must have influenced these guys profoundly. So yeah, definitely. You see these big kind of how do you say Neo Tokyo, this new mega cities. You know, these hyper populated, like hyper intense cities with millions of skyscrapers and lots of things happening. Yeah, that's the future that everyone envisages. Yeah,
it could be. Now, I think, you know, it is, maybe it's not totally, of course, Akira, like in a setting of in the dark. It's not really the same vibe, but it's more like Watanabe does these little touches, like this pens. There is like, especially towards the end of the episode, when there's this chase with this amazing music. Maybe we're going to talk about a little bit later. But there is like this pen, you see the camera moving, and you see all the skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And it's really like one-on-one taken, basically from Akira.
Yeah.
And then I found this little detail of this sort of closed shop with like red window shutters with a golden dragon on, and this is it's in a Cowboy Bebop has really like a prominent moment. It's like you see it really full in your face.
Yeah.
In Akira instead, it's a little bit more in background, but yeah, it's the same ones.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's almost a like for like, isn't it?
yeah, I think it is fair enough because Akira is of course the big science fiction reference for everybody, I guess, in Japan, and even if it wasn't apparently that success at the time, and it was at the peak of the money doesn't count anymore of Japan, like when they could spend all the money they wanted just before the crash, before the bubble burst.
Yeah.
So they had they could spend so much money also in movies, and there was then there's also Totoro the same year, and also Grape of Fireflies.
Yeah.
But those stayed. Ghibli survived, but the rest had a hard time, I guess.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's there's so many of them trying to make it that only the best are going to pull through that. But it's set on Mars, and I also kind of made a note that it had a kind of Blade Runner sort of feel to it, and I say that in the sense of there's a scene with these kind of exotic animals this woman is selling. She has these kind of lizards and all kinds of things, and it just reminded me a lot of this scene in Blade Runner where where Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, is investigating the scale, and he wonders if it's from a fish, but it's actually from a snake, and they're all artificial animals because it's too expensive to have real ones. But it was just like the setup of this scene with this sort of elderly woman selling these animals kind of half on the street in this sort of cramped environment. It was just reminding me a lot of that. And I think that Blade Runner is going to have some kind of influence on Cowboy Bebop. It's a futuristic kind of dystopian sort of bounty hunter sort of style thing. So, people with long coats and lots of moody scenes and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was I think definitely I'm not going to say stolen, but referenced.
Yeah, definitely. And but overall, this episode is really, I think, a little bit upbeat. Also, like being a little bit funny. Could be like in a normal series could be taken as a filler almost, but it is of course important because there is the introduction. And there are certain tropes again that shows up from the first. So like they are really close to get the bounty, but they don't.
Yeah.
Right. So this time.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like every time I watch an episode, I'm like, how are they surviving? Like, what's how do you say, the bread and butter? Like, how are they making their money? Because these guys basically, they just never get their bounty. It's just some hungry stomachs, I can imagine, on the spaceship.
Yeah, and in the first episode there was also a big chase, but this time the chase has a really different music, and this is really upbeat, and then there's this fantastic song, Biscuit for Dogs, No Dogs, I believe, from the Seatbelts. It's really a song that starts really happy and then increases its tempo
Yeah.
to a sort of ska.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great.
I watched on YouTube a clip from the live performance of that, and it looks fantastic. The energy, it'd be so cool to see them live. Yeah,
we should do that.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, do a live live YouTube feed.
Yeah, we can put it in the notes, right?
Yeah. But they're chasing this dog. The dog is the bounty, and it turns out that it's a data dog. I don't think they really elaborate much more on what that means yet.
Yeah. That's fair enough. I think it's like, everybody has a backstory in this series, and slowly appears.
Yeah. But it is, well, you said it's a Welsh Corgi, right? Did we mention that? I think we did. No. It's a Welsh Corgi, the dog. So it's a pedigree. It's quite unique looking. It sort of has these small legs or paws, but very much a dog face. But it's quite cute, and the dog is really well animated, and it already has quite a character to it, in the episode, and it is a smart dog, I guess, there's something behind its history that makes it a smart dog, but you can see that the actions it takes, and I think it has an instant liking to Spike, right?
Yeah, and the bounty was this guy who transformed himself or make it like a plastic surgery to become basically a black man, right?
Yeah.
And it's also a reference to this 1970s, 80s basketballer from Lakers, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah, he's this very, very tall character, like
3 meters tall.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, well, yeah, that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Then you have to think about the Bruce Lee film Game of Death, where he is he has to fight him. Bruce Lee at the end of the pagoda trials, he has to fight Kareem. So I think it's maybe a reference to that as well, to some degree, because he was known to train with Bruce Lee in real life as well. I think Bruce Lee, he was one of his students. So yeah, there's a lot of this going on in Bebop. I've realized there's a lot of this kind of, they're pulling things from the past.
Like.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, we like that, a bit of 1970s here, a bit of 80s, boom, boom, boom. And yeah, in a way, it's kind of like a collage of that. It's a collage of these references. It's really nice.
Yeah, because he also goes to the shop and gets a nunchaku, right? And he's also, this is really Enter the Dragon noise.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, he says, I think he says this is the same ones from Way of the Dragon or something, he says, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, it's interesting how they do that. They just throw it out there like a little fishing line. It's like, if you pick up on it, you do, and if you don't, and it's also not important.
Yeah, I think it also shows a little bit they are not afraid of doing that, because in Japan they were not so strict until a short time ago about copyrights, and they were not afraid to being chased from somebody asking for money about it at that time. So there was also Miyazaki does that quite a lot. He takes what he likes and he makes it his own. And but I think it's always, you can say it's a little bit like Tarantino does.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Tarantino makes this like, oh, wink, wink. This is reference for like this our inner circle of nerds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think totally. I think like. Yeah, I mean, in a way, when I'm watching these episodes from Cowboy Bebop, I do think like Tarantino would be a good director for like a live action film, or if Tarantino did a space, a sort of science fiction film in his style, it would basically be something like a Bebop episode. Like it's definitely got that, and I think when we get to episode 5, that's like basically it. I think that's like what it would look like and what it would feel like, maybe, and the references and everything. So yeah, it's you're totally on the ball with that. You're totally right.
Yeah.
So should we get to number 3?
Yes.
Number 3, Honky Tonk Woman is the title, which makes me think of the Rolling Stones, of course. I don't really know what a honky tonk woman is. Do you know, Gab? What it means?
I think sort of a bit easy woman in this case, because I think honky tonk is more like this, like 1950s, 60s kind of club, right? Or bar.
I don't know. I only know it from the title of the Stones.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I think it's more like this. Yeah, I think it's about like, it's like a woman who likes to drink a little bit.
Right. Okay. A bit of a lad.
Yeah, a bit of a lad. Indeed. Yeah, indeed.
So it starts with this woman, this sort
Faye.
of... Yeah,
Faye Valentine.
Faye. Her name's, Faye. And she's in a bar, I think. Or is she buying guns? I think she's in a bar. I can't remember exactly. But she's being pursued by these 3 guys, these sort of 3 gang members with guns.
Yeah, she has a money problem, right? She has some debts.
Yeah.
There is, again, I think, here we can see a little bit this, I don't know, because you also have fresh in your memory Castle of Cagliostro. What do you think? Do you see Fujiko in there? But of course, in Castle of Cagliostro, Fujiko is not that evident, but more in the serious. I think it looks a little bit she's also like a modern Fujiko, basically.
Yeah, I
The main
think.
difference is like there's no the same relationship with Lupin. Lupin is always following instead. Instead, Spike is like keeps a healthy distance.
Yeah, I think
from her.
Spike knows better. I think he's smarter than Lupin. Like Lupin just like follows his penis, and Spike is a bit more like smart. I think Spike's been around longer in a way. Like he knows what's going to happen, and he's like, yeah, I'm not falling for this, you know. But yeah, Faye, yeah, you get that feeling from Faye. She's like, you already realise she's, you know, not really to be trusted. There's something about her. She's a little bit sly, and you know, she would sell you if she could. You know, if she had half the chance, you know, she'd hand you in. So you get that feeling, you know. But at the same time, yeah, she's also quite tough, right? She can look after herself. You know, you see that she has her own ship. You know, I think she knows how to handle herself as well, and yeah. But this episode is about I guess it's mostly about her and her connection to this sort of Las Vegas syndicate in a way. So it's like, I guess it's kind of like another crime syndicate branch that are specialized in poker and roulette and things like this. So you get this kind of cool shot of this space station or this ship, and it's kind of shaped like I think it's actually just is a sort of space station that's basically Las Vegas, and it's basically this massive roulette wheel in space. It's just spinning around, and I can't remember how she gets there, but I think she gets captured.
Right? She gets instead kidnapped, and then basically she is front of the boss of this casino, and then this guy recognized her from the past, and she said, "Oh, you have a big debt," and that she has to work. She has to do like one job, and then with that job, her debt will be written off, right? And the job is playing cards. And then at some point get this special chip in there.
Yeah.
And like this, the guy doing it for a chance looks a lot like. I mean, he's dressed up as basically like Spike.
Yeah.
Exactly like him.
Yeah.
So then you have these two dudes coming in. You have a Jet and Spike coming in the casino, and they're having fun. Jet is really well dressed up, right?
So it's almost like a little holiday, right, for those guys. It's just a coincidence, I think. They're not there.
They had a little money. They know probably how to cheat the cards.
Yeah. It appears it's like this is their bread and butter. This is, you know, if they don't get bounties, this is how they do it. You know, they're fast, you know, sleight of hand, all these kind of attributes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there are beautiful animations also of all the cards and all the details of the roulettes, right? And but this is not going according to the plan, and then the poor lookalike of a Spike gets basically shot, right? This is really quite crude. And then there is this space scene, and that's also fresh in my memory, all the Gundam stuff, which is it's from the same studio. So then I guess they pull their space muscles in there, because there is a lot of animation in space and fights, which is quite impressive. But of course they could have just taken a piece of one of the many seasons of franchise within Gundam, so I guess it was not a big deal.
Yeah, it's funny because I've never seen Gundam, but I know you've watched almost all of them, or if not all of them.
No.
But you know, you're a big fan, and you know enough about it. I've never really watched it, but even I picked up on the Gundam reference, because there is a scene when they have to trade the chip with this mafia kind of boss, and they basically decide to do it in space. And they kind of dock up the two ships, and then Spike goes out with a suit on, and the other guy comes out with a suit on, and you're kind of in this zero gravity situation, and he has this visor, this kind of, and I believe it's orange, right, or is it green? But it's basically the helmet and suit and visor is just like, it's just another copy and paste from Gundam. It's like an absolute spitting image of a Gundam screenshot. And they're just floating around and doing their thing and fighting and whatnot. But I'd made a note of it, and like I say, I'm really that clued up on Gundam, so there must have been some kind of direct correlation.
Yeah. I think that's for sure, because it's the same studio.
Yeah.
And another point about the suit is this suit is apparently, according to the internet, is the same suit as from 2001: A Space Odyssey. He's wearing like this sort of red and white suit he has spike on. So that's but I think that part was like really, really pretty, really well animated, with this scene with like this circle moving, and just at the specific moment when he's throwing the chip and shooting. I think that was great. And again, this is another episode where the main goal is introducing Faye and her character, but she's not in the crew immediately. She's like, hey, because she's also like handcuffed, which will also return quite a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
Like in every episode, she's handcuffed, and and she's fast, and she's also Aine is also looking after her, but not really successfully, the dog.
Yeah. Well, it ends basically with, I believe she escapes with the money, the Wulons, which is the currency, and Spike ends up with the chip, this special chip. I can't exactly remember what its function was, but it's basically what everyone's fighting over. It's just a poker chip, but with something inside. And he goes to the casino with that, and then the gangster's ship blows up, and Faye, for some reason, flies off, and that's it. That's the end. Like, the episode doesn't end with her just suddenly being part of the crew, like you say. And that leads us on to the next episode.
Yeah. Which I think this is, of course, there is still part of the story, because indeed you picks up a little bit what Faye did, and now there's Faye in the space without gasoline, basically. Yeah. Waiting for somebody
to pass by, almost like if you were on Route 66 and you just stolen $1 million from Las Vegas and whatever, you're on the road out of there and you're in the desert and you'd run out of gas and you're hitchhiking. It's literally the space equivalent, right? It's like,
because apparently there are, of course, the planets are super far from each other, but there's this gateways indeed where you can have like how would you call it, like hyperspace?
Hyperspace, I guess is
hyperspace indeed, gates where you can move very fast between A and B, right? You go from our Earth to Mars probably, and from Mars to Jupiter or something.
I imagine they'd be expensive though. There must be a toll involved, right? I mean,
probably
you can imagine like Jeff Bezos' sort of offspring would set that up. It would be a Jeff Bezos with Elon Musk. Like their children would breed and make some kind of super corporate being that would charge people for the gate travel, I reckon.
Yeah.
No, it's too far-fetched.
I was thinking maybe we could, for this one, we could call somebody for this, to jump in for this episode.
Episode 4.
For episode 4.
Yeah, totally. Let's do it. We want to get our boy back in, our buddy from Poland. You all know who it is. And of course, you knew who it was. It's our big boy.
Robert Swiatowski.
There
Hi,
he
guys.
is. Hey,
Hello,
man, how are
everyone.
you?
I'm good, good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good. We're just doing a little recap of 2 and 3 and wanted to get you on board again, our esteemed guest and friend on episodes 4 and 5. So, what do you guys think of 4? Gateway Shuffle.
Yeah, it was also really, really cool. And yeah, there was a lot of references, I think, there, because 2 and 3 were a bit like with funny and jokey and light-hearted,
Yeah.
and the fourth one wanted to, I think, put some message about about, I think, the world. So this what do you call it? This eco-terrorist, or this group, and it was funny. How do you call it? Space warriors or something like that. Right?
Eco warriors, I wrote down.
Eco warriors,
I believe,
okay.
yeah.
Eco warriors, yeah. And the way they dress with this,
sea rats.
The sea rats from Ganymede.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sea rats. The sea rats, they made it off, right? There's no sea rats. And and this lady, she's cool as well. And they telling the story, right? How they became, because they were not like that before, right? So they were like some kind of intelligent, it's called activist or something. But they then.
But what's their main object? What was their main object? They want to protect species, right?
Right, and the environment, I guess. And I'm not exactly sure what was the. Yeah, but they were like environmentalists, right?
Mm.
But they then at some point they turned violent and became the eco-terrorists. Or I don't know if they call them like this in the series, but I think that's what they call them today. Yeah, so that was funny and unexpected. And the first scene, the opening scene, when they enter this restaurant and they kill this playboy guy, right? Who is supposed to be a bounty, and they kill him because he's eating. He has a meal of sea rats, and they kill everyone in the restaurant, including all the escorts and himself. And then they dropping this thing in this kind of what is called like a hologram or something, and with the logo of the organization.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
that's
instead of spraying graffiti or something, it's like this little hologram.
Yeah, and there's a hologram with the music, and there's like everyone can see it.
What do you think the sea rat soup tastes like if everybody's ordering it?
No, yeah, no idea. I guess there's some kind of delicacy, I guess.
Yeah, I bet it's amazing. Yeah. I would try it. I'd definitely try it.
But I guess, in the real world exists stuff like that, right? Exists people, of course. They don't hesitate to make a massacre, basically, to make their point to save the sea rats. But there is people in the world fighting and also sometimes going over the line.
Yeah, there was this when they were presenting the history of the organization. There was this kind of like a context scene when they were going some boat and they were chasing some big ship, and there was like a big slogan. Yeah, so that looked exactly like what they would Greenpeace. Yeah, all these images when they're some when they try to they behave like pirates and they try to hijack a big ship or something or to put their message. So there was a clear reference to those kind of images, and I think some kind of early late 90s, and that was quite common when the Greenpeace was really after so. And the sea rats, so like the sea rats, so yes, I think that the Greenpeace was really like wanted to stop this whales hunting, right? I think and Japan was really, I think they still are actually, was one of those countries which the whale hunting was legal, and it's a big part of the culture and a big part of the of the economy as well. And then I guess that was a
What's
that was
happened?
a
What's
big story.
happened with that now? Is that illegal there now, or is it what? I haven't really sort of been up to date with it.
I think until recently it was illegal. So I think there was for a couple of years. I guess there was some memorandum, and then recently I think that they opened it up for some. There's some quota, but like you can kill whales at up to certain
Size.
size.
Yeah.
So that's crazy that Japan is allowing this, but it is what it is, and it's as I said, it's a big part of the kind of national identity and the culture and so on. But it's so cruel and, well, I think in my opinion unnecessary. But I don't know what is the opinion of the creators of the Cowboy Bebop, whether they wanted to say something about it, but they put this message.
Yeah, I don't know either actually. If the creators are vegetarian, or if it was a big thing for them, or it was in the news at the time. It was it was a big thing in the media. But there seems to be some kind of intention behind it. Or are they trying to show these guys as being crazy and loony? What side are they kind of going with?
Yeah, they don't really image them as in a positive light. I mean, no, not really actually.
No.
They it's hard to tell whether they are with them or against them or
I think especially in the 80s and in the 90s in Japan, they were the environmental aspect of especially of population was really a big topic, because basically the population ballooned, like I don't know if it became 3 times the size, like after the war. So then they ballooned until under 20 million people, right, in this island. So they were also in the writings of Miyazaki was also thinking, we will live in a world with 10 billion people on Earth, right? And I think until really recently there were like 4 million people. I believe now it's 8 billion people on Earth.
Yes.
I remember when there were 6. But it's
Wow.
So it is growing, and
but it might plateau.
It will,
especially in Japan, because it was at the same time, these cities like Tokyo were like square meters were becoming smaller, more and more expensive, and there were so many people and everybody coming there, so they were feeling that. If you live in Hokkaido, I guess it was not a problem, or in Okinawa, but I guess like in large cities.
Well, Japan is. Well, they take the mountains, they demolish mountains, and then they use that that soil, the stones, whatever they get, and they dump it in the sea, and they create new land. So actually, Japan is getting slowly bigger by harvesting its own mountains. I remember learning that at school. I mean, this is something they've obviously been doing for a long time. Because most of the country is mountainous, right? There's only some areas where they can live, the population.
Yeah,
that's its problem.
Yeah, true. And there's so little land for agriculture, and so that's also a problem.
And they have to import everything. So everything is tertiary.
What they do have is they have a lot of sea and the seafood, and then whales came in, and then it's like, because it was like a survival thing. You need to hunt them to be able to survive, because that was and that's why it's so existential. And then maybe we don't understand it, because we never really were confronted with such a problem.
But I guess it's more the problem. I mean, it's really from the northern island, Hokkaido, right, which is huge and basically really close to the North Pole somehow. It's really cold there, and close to these islands that they used to be also Japanese, but they're now Russian. But I think to maybe close up episode 4, I think monkey business is a great name for a virus, right?
Yeah.
The mother, and it's better to not disappoint your mother, because she's gonna punish you, right? She was like
Oh,
with
yeah.
this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't at the beginning. I didn't realize what happened to him because he was trying to save her, right? And then, and kind of, I think she's. I mean, at the beginning, I thought that like she lets him go and she said, "Okay, you go. I'll be fine." And then, but then no, she was actually upset about what he did, and she punished him, right? And with this, when
But
infecting
apparently,
him.
he was a spy, right? There was like this
Ah.
note from the cops that they saying
Okay.
that he had introduced somebody in the organization.
Okay.
So probably he was the spy within the organization. Yeah.
I didn't get it. Okay, all right.
And then you see them using this virus on people, and it turns them into these kind of humanoid monkey sort of hybrid things. It's quite scary actually when you see it.
But there were one thing that was interesting when they were talking about the virus, they were showing this because they were telling it only affects the DNA of humans, right? That's what it was saying, and there was some kind of like. There were like in the background, there was this scientific papers with this DNA coding, and this is exactly what you could see now with the COVID when they were also exploring like what the DNA structure of the virus and what it contains, and there was that because that was I think I don't know when there was. Well, the DNA, of course, it was 60s, right? When they discovered the DNA, but I think maybe like this DNA mapping. I think that was something.
The 90s.
It was something in 90s. Something in 90s, yeah. And I think it was in Asia.
I think it was in Jurassic Park that they actually worked that out, right?
It was 90s. Yeah, but there was this was authentic when this because it looks like a barcode, yeah. This sequence of this nucleoids or whatever it is, and they were showing this, and there was like that reminded me, okay, that's virus, yeah, and that's what you do, and then with the COVID now, it's like okay, that's actually similar, I think.
So the episode does resonate now in 2022. I mean, there's something you could take from it. That's what you're saying, right?
Because like they have this I don't know how to call it. Like they because when they were first they were like telling the story of this eco warriors, and then they were using these images, and I think that's actually one of the nice things about this series that they're using this background images which are really well made, and they kind of like a documentary shots, and that's really cool. And then if someone is careful enough to spot it, I think that's also a really nice thing because it gives like additional depth and context and the background to the story.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Right, like Gabby said, let's get to episode 5. This is what we're all here for today. That was just a bit of a kind of catch up because it's not nice to skip from number 1 to 5 without any context. It's called Ballad of Fallen Angels. It's quite poetic.
Yeah.
The whole episode is very poetic. It's a different rhythm than the other ones. Yeah, it's a bit slower and
it's just. I mean, we're going to go into it, but it was phenomenal. I mean, it was just such a nice episode, such an incredible episode. It was just like a 22-minute film, it was just like everything about it. It was just, I loved it. I watched it twice. And, no, it was good, cool, Gab. Like you said, this is what we need to watch and this is what we need to talk about. And it's brilliant.
I think now the story really kicks in, because I think now because with the 2 and 3, like the characters the new characters were introduced, with the dog and the honky tonk woman, and now the key character and the Julia. And I don't know much about Vicious because we talked about Julia before, but I don't know because the Vicious was gonna come back or something. I don't know what's the story behind him, but I think now we're just getting like to the core of the story, right?
I think it's a little bit more. this is the first time they show a little bit of the backstory of Spike, basically, right?
Yeah.
Well, they hinted, of course, at it in episode 1.
Yes.
That's the very first thing you see is this black and white kind of montage, or those little clips,
Flashback.
flashback, and this hints at it again. But yeah, it's only it's just feeding you little pieces. It's not really the whole story.
Yeah.
But I agree with Robert that this sets a different pace. I think this is really when you feel like, hey, now I'm invested in this story. Also, like as a watcher, you're like, okay, now I want to know more, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the first episode, of course, kicks in. You're like, okay, I want to continue. But in this one, you're like, okay, now I really want to know.
Yeah, right, it feels like they've changed gear and it's a bit more adult, a bit more serious. It's like this is a serious anime now. And that's the thing.
The music is different as well, right? I mean, that they were. I like when now I'm jumping bit because I think it's somewhere in the middle of the episode, but then when she walks in the honky, what's her name? Is the honky?
Okay, Faye. Okay, but maybe we can start from the start.
Okay,
what do you think?
Yeah, let's go from the start. Yeah, let's do it.
I think this is like a typical Japanese structure of the story. So there's like a really quick intro. So there's like a set intro, then there's a continuation, then there is like a big climax, and then there is an ending. So it's like basically a 4-act structure, and I think it's really clear. So we're again in Mars, right?
Yeah.
And and there is basically a peace deal signed by 2 of syndicates, which is basically the mafia names for any Chinese, the Chinese mafia, right? It's always syndicates in all the action movies, I guess, right? The Chinese syndicates. And these are the Red Dragon and the White Tiger. So these are these 2 executives, basically, after many, you hint there's like, okay, this is not something really light happening. It's like after many fights.
They both got reputations amongst each other.
They also sparring. Oh, you should stay for dinner. Maybe another time.
Yeah. Yeah, he said something.
They seems to be honest, right? To each other, like they really like, and they want to end up this bloodshed, and because it's just exhausting both of their.
Yeah, it's not good business.
No. So they want to make a deal.
Yeah, but it's like a Godfather, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But there's the first shot you see is this kind of this spaceship or spacecraft in a kind of docking station, or this kind of almost like a helipad, and it felt very familiar. It felt quite familiar to Cloud City in The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars, with this kind of Millennium Falcon, and then you get Lando walking up and greeting them. It's sort of this sort of same kind of image I felt, and it's this big city and kind of things. And I was like, they're even taken from that now. So.
Yeah, but then so they have these 2 executives, and this Mao Yenrai from the Red Dragon signing, and then basically, okay, it's over. We have peace. Oh, now we can relax. He says also, and then the helicopter plane spaceships leaves, but then it explodes. Ooh, that's bad business, of course.
And Mao is like, he seems to be like also shocked, right? I mean, he didn't expect that. I'm saying he's not behind it. He's not behind it.
No,
it's something else.
Yeah. And then almost instantaneously.
Yeah. There is like this new character coming in, Vicious, and he's always showing up in this sort of out of the blue, like you don't see it, but then it's like with this like corridor full of bodies, and he's showing up with his crowd, and you understand that he knows him very well. He's this guy and then we have the first hint of the story, which is like, if while he slides his trough, he's saying, hey, if Spike was here, would have been here, you would have not done that, right?
Yeah. So we know there is some connection between Spike, Vicious, and Mao, right? So they were together before, but we don't know exactly what is the relation.
Okay, I have maybe a potential reference for this Vicious character, because it's like this tall guy with a katana and like white silver hair. Did something came in your mind, Joe?
Yeah, you're reading my mind. Sephiroth, Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
You're thinking of something else?
I was thinking something else, but I guess Sephiroth is actually very good, because there's a sword, there's the haircut.
That's what I thought.
And probably maybe there is another one. I mean, that is not. It's not a reference, but it's more like a legacy after this character, and also probably after Cloud. Sephiroth. Oh, Sephiroth is not Cloud, of course. Okay, sorry, I got confused. But
Sephiroth is the villain in Final Fantasy VII, and he has this long silver hair, and this like it's like a massive katana sort of sword.
Yeah. Okay, that's it indeed. Yeah.
But then there's also Cypher from Final Fantasy VIII, and he looks very similar as well. So
I was thinking
there's
also
a few of those kind of characters.
Yeah, Dante also from Devil May Cry, which is in 2001.
Yeah.
Which is also like a silver gray hair, but a big sword. So that's probably a cross between a Cloud and Sephiroth. But okay, that's that was like, hey, but I think it's you feel that it's not just a normal character. This one is like somebody with weight. I think I have this feeling like it's not just one episode character. It's pretty clear.
Yeah,
from the get go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some story behind, and the story needs to be explained. You cannot just leave it like that, because.
Yeah, and then continues, and we are now again in this harbor on Mars, right? And the Bebop is on the water again.
And there's tension, isn't there? There's a tension between Spike and Jet, because this bounty comes up for
Mao.
Yeah, for Mao, and
they're poking at each other, like right.
They're trying to pry into each other's pasts, because basically Jet doesn't want to talk about his metal arm, how he got that, and Spike doesn't want to talk about his kind of affiliation with these guys, and Spike is you sort of see Spike is really in his inner thoughts in this episode. There's a lot going on, he's deep in something, and he's not so playful in a way.
Yeah,
you can see that it's quite serious, this whole situation.
Yeah, but that Jet is, I think he sees that the Spike is not just a regular business. It's not just another bounty to be dealt with. It's something Spike is taking it personally. I think Jet is very pragmatic guy, and he doesn't want to. He's the guy who always makes all this research and analysis, and then he's afraid that they're like, this is stinky thing, and we should not get involved. And then, but Spike is.
So I guess you mean like Spike is following his emotions, and Jet is just thinking of what's gonna put food on the table. It's like like you say, what's pragmatic, what's useful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and
then Faye comes in, who's now part of the Bebop after the fourth episode, right? Because she helped saving the day, basically.
Yeah. And
she's coming back with this full of shopping, right? And she's getting immediately excited about this 20 million wulong, right? Because she's like, hey, cool guys, what are you doing? And it's like,
more shopping. I really like her. She's really cool.
Yeah.
Because she's breaking up the whole tension, and he's just like out of the blue, and then she's just still with her energy and stuff. And yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, and then like Spike leaves, and just basically sort of fuck off. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and then Jet and Faye kind of have a bit of a kind of not an argument, but you know, there's Jet's not so happy, you know, with this whole situation, and Faye's kind of prying and trying to get information from him, and Jet slams this deck of cards down on the table, and one falls on the floor, and I think it's Faye that picks it up, and it's the Ace of Spades, and it's there's obviously there's a reason for this for the audience, and and it comes back later on at the end of the episode. Maybe we can touch on it then, but I'll ask later, but what you guys thought that meant and what it represented.
I didn't have like clear, but is Ace of Spades means death?
Yeah, but maybe we should look at it at the end, because I have some notes for the end of the episode, and it comes back in, and I think there's a lot of symbology in just that one shot. So yeah, let's.
It's clearly,
hang on to that.
Yeah, she takes time to look at this card, and so there must be some significance.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't know yet what this is. Yeah.
And then Tips comes in while Jet is away. It's like, because we also discovered that Jet used to be a cop, right? That he has some, at least, cop connection from the past episodes. He has some connection in there with this, and he used to be a cop. And so he gets a tip, but only Faye's there. It's like, oh, and then there's a cut, and basically this is like the end of the, let's call it the first part, the intro. So we are set. There is a big tension. There is this. All the characters are by themselves, right? There is something boiling that is different than the previous bounties.
Yeah. And did we say that Faye has basically read this incoming message that was
it's clear, right?
It's aimed for Jet, but she sees it and she goes, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on my own." And then it cuts to her basically going to investigate who this Mao guy is and what the bounty is, and how am I gonna do this on my own.
But do we know at that moment? Do we know that this Mao bounty is actually basically a trap, right? Because it's a trap.
No, we don't know then. No, I guess nobody knows, and definitely Faye doesn't know.
I think we know that Jet is excited. He was excited, but immediately, like from the reaction of Spike, understands there is something going on. But at first it was like, let's do this. It's 28 million Volong. Faye's super excited, and Spike is like probably smelling there is something wrong, because like probably like this. How is possible that there is this? Because actually the bounty is about the killing of a rival. The bounty is because
they believe that Mao actually killed the guy in the first scene, the explosion of the ship. That's correct. So it's basically, we know as a viewer that Mao's been set up. Well, we assume that, but that's what the bounty is. Yeah, from the other gang, assuming, right? That's what you're saying, Gab. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So I think Spark is thinking, okay, I want to know more about it. Okay, this is getting personal now. I have to get more involved. I think that's his reaction. Yeah. And so he goes not towards Mao, but yeah.
So then Faye is basically, she's tracking down this Mao character, and it cuts to her landing her ship outside this opera house, and she's dressed basically as a kind of prostitute, cool girl sort of character.
For the evening.
Yeah.
Right? Evening dress.
Yeah, okay, maybe prostitute was a bit harsh, but
I like her dress a lot.
But yeah, we get this scene of her, and she's got this low cut top, and she's got, you know, all of her jewelry on, and she's basically dressed the part. And you can even see the animators had a good time drawing her, because you get, let's just say, a lot of bounce, and yeah, it's quite funny.
Yeah, but that's the moment when she enters the opera, and there's Ave Maria, and it's like, you know, you would not expect this opera and singing, but it's beautiful. Also, it's like made like you really feel like it's a special show. Yeah, like you really for, you know, for VIPs, and it's something that everyone could get into, and then that really sets. They really made it. You feel that it's a special evening. So
yeah, well, like Ave Maria by Schubert, it's actually typically played at funerals.
Oh,
funny enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's obviously a choice for the song, you know, and I looked into it actually, and it was even played at the funeral of JFK. So there's something about that song.
Yeah.
That's
and
kind of
Queen Elizabeth II, also the funeral of Queen Elizabeth.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. But it's, you know, it's kind of how do you say, foreshadowing? Is that correct? It's kind of something that's about to happen, or it's setting the mood again. That's what this whole episode is about. Symbology and foreshadowing and hints and these kind of things. It's all about the whole thing coming together, and it's all the glue that sticks it together. And this is definitely a part of it. This operatic scene, and she's there and she's looking for this Mao guy. But then it cuts again, right?
And then we are in the Bebop again, and then we have basically Jet on the dark web looking for more info, right, about Mao.
No, but is she?
She's at the front. She interact with basically.
I think then when she's in opera, she's looking for Mao, and then she's asking those guys, okay, I'm looking for Mao, and you know, and then to her surprise, they're telling her we've been.
That's later.
No, I don't think it's. I think
it's later. Yeah,
it's later. Okay. First, she comes in and she says, you know, I'm here, you know, for the big guy, that guy. And then this first person is a bit afraid, is making a wrong move. So basically, he lets her through. Then there's a cut. Then we're in the Bebop.
Okay.
There's Jet behind, all alone, again, looking for his information. And he gets to know a little bit more about Mao. And then you see is like, yes, probably he knows at some point that is dead. Probably in this dark web he gets the information. Probably he has a reaction, and then the cuts again. Then we have we're again an opera, and then we have really like this super long pans of the camera, right? Really, actually, it's all still with just the opera song, but it's I mean, again, beautiful backgrounds, of course. Everything is hand painted, and and then we have Faye on top, like on this next to this, close to the entrance for the fancy seats, and then a guard comes in, and basically she's at the gunpoint in the back, and it's like, okay, yeah, we know who you are, and please have a seat, right? And then cut again. And then we have a Spike.
Yeah.
Where is Spike? Where did Spike go?
Well, it cuts to two kids stealing pornography from a corner shop, which I read. So you see this front cover of this porn mag, and I think in some countries or over the years it changed, and I think maybe in the original that you could see the breasts, and then they censored it, and then they didn't, and then they did, and I don't know. But in the one I watched, it was censored, so I switched it off and stopped watching. But no, they're in this corner shop, and then there's this woman, this big, strong sort of woman. She catches these kids. So yeah, what are you doing? And one of them smashes bang into Spike, and the woman's like, Jesus, what? She's completely in shock. She's like, you're supposed to be dead. And
she knows him.
She knows him. Yeah, she knows him from years ago. And yeah, Spike's there, and he's like, hey, and they want to catch up, And she's called Annie, or Anastasia, right? It's her name, her full name. And we see that they have a connection together, that there's a history, and we see also that on her desk she has a picture of Mao and herself and another character. And I assume that maybe she was a partner or a wife, maybe, or something. I don't know. Maybe she was a gang leader as well. It doesn't really say exactly what her connection is. Maybe we find out in another episode. But it appears that Spike was affiliated with them, and he was supposed to be dead. He had died 3 years ago or something. And in her eyes, he's come back from the dead. Like, everyone thought he was dead. So it's I think then it cuts back to Faye, but there's we start to touch on Spike's past a bit more in that scene.
Yeah, and when they're having a conversation, I mean, she's giving him gun, right? A gun.
Later.
Was it later?
Yeah.
But they.
Yeah, Robert's 1 hour ahead of everyone. He's in a different time zone.
It's too fresh. Stuff has to settle, or you have to watch it twice.
To be honest, the reason why Robert didn't join for the intro ones is that Robert had to catch up. He had watched episode 2, 3, and 4, and didn't watch number 5. So we were like, Robert, watch episode 5. Me and Gab will do the other episodes, and so yeah. But that's good, right? It is fresh in your mind. I think it's quite funny. So we cut back to the opera scene.
Yeah.
And who wants to carry on from there? Because it's
she starts talking to Mao, but then she's shocked because she realized that he has this slit throat, right? And then again,
he's dead already for a while, right? Because he's
it's a little bit gray.
Yeah.
And then immediately again, out of the blue, appears Vicious with his crow, right? And for the first time we see her scared. I think she's scared. And I didn't catch because I haven't seen the movie. But I read about it, and then I looked at the sequence of Marathon Man, which is a book from Stephen King, but they also made a movie on it. And then there's basically the same scene without Vicious, of course, but it's like somebody sitting and then being basically set up next to this dead guy with like really pulp way, right? It's really in front of
it's set in an opera as well, right? I mean, he has his throat slit, and Roy Schneider's character comes in and he's shocked. He starts talking to him, and then he realizes he's been talking to this dead body, and it's quite a shocking scene. But the film's also really famous for its torture scene with Dustin Hoffman, and Laurence Olivier plays this kind of Nazi. He is a Nazi. I think that's the idea, because I think it's in the 70s, so it's almost as if that they would still be alive. And it's famous because he tortures him kind of as a dentist. He starts drilling his teeth and picking away at his teeth without any anesthetic and things, and it's horrific. It's like So that's what the film's famous for, and I guess the makers of Bebop were, they wanted to take some reference, and they did it really well, I think, with that scene.
Yeah, maybe it's also a good time to say that this is also, I believe, the second episode that Watanabe himself directed, if I'm not wrong. Maybe he directs also the second episode, but I believe this is so. He made the series director, the old creator, was also the specific episode director, really deciding everything on this episode, on the 5th episode, and also the first.
Right.
So then maybe that's why you feel a little bit more.
Yeah, because it's similar to the first one, actually.
Yeah, but of course you have to imagine they have to. They have to set something for a certain number of weeks, and 26. I guess it's 26 or 52. So it's basically, it's like every week for a part of the year, and that's like they're all fixed blocks. So that's why in many other series there are many fillers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's almost like episode 2, 3, and 4 are if you think about it as an animation process, those are your in-betweens, and your keyframes are episodes 1 and 5. And so he's probably given liberty to other directors to fill in the gaps, because it's not really pushing the main story. But then when you get in here, it's like, okay, he's going to take the reins, and he's going to drive this whole franchise forward. It's like this is I can imagine that when this episode came out, it was like everyone was talking about this. It's like, have you been watching Bebop? Boom. But yeah.
But I remember, I think I even remember when I watched it, like in the 1999 in Italy, and I was like, how is possible? It's like, whoa, 5th episode like this, boom! Like it feels like final episode almost, right? Like so intense, right? Like really big climax, but it's just a pillar apparently in this structure. But yeah, but I think no, this is so we.
We go back to Spike with Annie.
This is basically for this. I think this is like the end of the second part from my feeling. Like this is just so we had the big setup, and now it's developing.
Yeah,
and now the stakes are high, right? That we know that it's all.
Faye's basically hostage.
Yeah,
like,
that's she's hostage indeed, and now back to the shop, right? And Anastasia, Annie, is also not anymore afraid or trembling, is now really giving guns, ammunition to Spike, right? She knows she could say what she wants, but that he will go after Vicious. And then there is this moment where she had a drink before, but she wants to have another drink on Mao, and then Spike takes from her hand, and basically I think that's more like could be a sort of reference of, okay, I'm gonna take a bullet. I'm gonna close the circle there. I'm gonna revenge Mao. What do you think from this drink shot? Did you read it that way?
Yeah, what did you think, Robert?
Not really.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gabriele. I didn't get to it. What's your point?
No, when Spike gets the drink from the end of Anastasia, I was thinking this is more like a reference. Yes, I'm gonna go after Vicious, and yes, I'm gonna take revenge on Mao.
Yeah, it could be like it's like they agree on something, right? By just she's having a drink and he's having a drink, and then they are looks like they had together. They had some story in there, some matters to be cleared up, and I think that's their deal. Yeah, I would say so. That they want to. Because she's helping him, right, by providing the guns and the bullets, and so they have something to, some revenge to take on Vicious.
But it's also interesting. Why does Spike need to go to her? Because, I mean, she's not the only provider of guns in the universe, and what information does he actually gather from her? So is it mostly just to push the story of Spike's past. You know, like I was just thinking about that. What does Spike actually gain from it?
I get some information like, okay, what's the real story? Who is Mao? Probably, maybe she has more direct connection with this organization, and she then knows that Mao is dead and where Vicious is. I guess that's why. I mean, he shows up. Probably he had tied.
So she knows Mao, right? So then.
I guess maybe that was Spike's just first logic was just go to the connections of Mao.
There were a couple, right?
And then all this other stuff has happened without Spike knowing, I guess, in the background.
Yeah, because he basically left them, right? They thought he was dead. So then he's coming back, between brackets, from the death to basically all the informants. To somebody closer to the source to get to know what's the story, and then basically you understand. He makes the math, and then maybe she knows also where Vicious is located, where he has to search, and then we have this split second of cathedral, 1 second, just one frame of cathedral, and then we are back in the bebop again. Well, again, like probably like a little bit like Jet typing in the night. Now is also that's my feeling. I don't know if for you there was the same. It's like now is okay. Spike is back to the bebop, and he's trying to do this to prepare his night basically without without Jet knowing. So I have the feeling it's like he was maybe in the night taking out the gun from the fridge. Why would you hide in the fridge, right?
Yeah. Keep it cool. Yeah, so he's basically preparing himself. He's getting his guns, getting his grenades. You know, this is serious. It's like we've seen Spike in the previous episodes, and Spike is kind of quite a confident guy, just using his own body. And now we see him like with 2-3 Berettas and 10 grenades, and he looks a bit anxious. And you think, he knows who he's coming up against, and he knows that he needs to be prepared. Basically, that's basically what that scene is showing, right? It's like this is a serious thing that's about to happen. And yeah, Jet comes in, and Jet sort of opens up to him a little bit. You know, you get this little scene where he says something about his arm. He doesn't give out too much information, but he just says, "Be careful," you know. And he sort of hopes that Spike will also open up to him, and they have some sort of bond.
Does he explain what happened to his arm?
No, he just says, "Do you want to know? I got this arm by something like what was it? Being overzealous or something? What was it?"
Okay. Yeah, it's stubborn, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
and he also understands that probably Spike worked for Mao before. He's also saying something about it. Yeah, and then we have really like the catch. Yeah, Faye calls in, handcuffed again for the third episode in a row, right?
Yeah.
It's a speciality.
Yeah, and she's like even more naked in this shot as well. Like she's almost completely naked, but there's some sort of.
She's really funny also in this call, right?
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Surprise.
And then Spike says, "Okay, I will go, but not to save you, right?" And there's like, and that's it.
Well, Spike knows it's a trap to lure him in. He already knows that, but that's not a problem. I'll go. Yeah, that's what he says basically. And then we cut to this scene, right? This incredible. This starts this whole. It sets the next 10 minutes up, right? It's incredible, and we have Spike walking towards this Gothic cathedral, and you have this really incredible track by the seatbelts. This kind of sad, melancholic, but with vocals, right? This is a really incredible song. And there's crows and there's organ music and there's all these beautiful purple shades in the colouring of the cathedral and the sky, and it's the suburbs, and it's this is really beautiful cinematography now. It's like everything is really sharp and on the mark. And what happens, Rob? What's
Well, one second about that. I think because it is coming from these stairs, right? And you see really the city in the background, far away. And I was thinking, I don't know if you've been to Paris, but of course the church itself looks a little bit, because the Gothic church more could be like Notre Dame-like, but it's not Notre Dame. But because the setting, especially maybe from a Japanese, and maybe Notre Dame, Sacré-Cœur is the same, but looks a bit like Sacré-Cœur or Montmartre, because then it's like on a hill. You have to make this. You see it like you see this big white church on top of a hill, and you have these stairs to go there. So it's really like scenographic, and then you see the rest of the big city from there. Probably, Robert, you have a sister in Paris, so I guess.
Yeah, is Sacré-Cœur, is it Gothic?
No, Sacré-Cœur is not Gothic. Sacré-Cœur, I think it's it's 19th century. Looks like it's white with this basically round cupoles. But it's forget about the shape of Sacré-Cœur, but like the location, where is it placed? Because it's like it's really on this small place. Because there is Montmartre, basically one square with the painters, right, and then the church there behind. And but I thought about that, but it's indeed it's in the outskirts, and then we see like immediately like weeds on this in the front of the church, right, and also inside we will see it's also a little bit.
It's derelict. It's abandoned. It's derelict. I mean, and what does that mean? If we're talking about the future, and this cathedral is in this condition, what's happened to Christianity?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because it is Christian, right? There's a cross there, right?
And, there's some really beautiful shots, a lot of these Dutch angles, and really like sort of the camera is really low and shooting up, and you get this kind of cross and all these incredible angles and things. It's
how do you call it, those color windows in the
stained glass? There are stained glass with saints on it. So you see also like I saw in the club, because I was watching slower. I saw like it was a Santana or something like that. And now this song "Rain" is amazing in English. It's from there's another singer doing it. It's but I was don't you see a little bit the build up with the organ and the church, also this Dutch angle with the cross. It's also in Castle of Cagliostro, right?
Yeah, it's the same scene.
I mean, that's completely different, because that's of course the center with many people, and but the setup, like in Castle of Cagliostro, with like again organ music, and then there is like this ritual of the two.
There's also the saving of the damsel in distress.
We will see later indeed also, because there's just stairs. There is this big centerpiece that was the clock. Here is the big rose window, right?
Yeah.
So that
totally, and he
Vicious is there waiting also, like there in the dark with the stained glass, also like a crowd, like in really in a sort of fetal position, right?
And he says, "Angels that have fallen from heaven are forced to become demons." So, I mean, what do we think of that?
He's saying this about himself, or
that's how I interpreted it. Yeah. But was he ever an angel, do you think? I mean, the episode is called the Ballad of Fallen Angel, right? Ballad of Fallen Angels. So maybe they're both fallen angels. I mean, we see, there's a history between the two. So
to look like they were together, connected, and then at some point they turned against each other, and now they're confronted again. But then who is he referring to when he's talking about the fallen angels? Not sure.
Yeah, I guess himself, Vicious, and Spike, I imagine. But maybe he thinks that Spike has also done bad things, as much as Vicious has, as we've seen in this episode. I mean, maybe there's more that we find out about Spike later on through the series. I'm not sure. But no, I thought that was just quite. There's these kind of poetic sort of quotes. There's a lot of depth to these lines, and I think that's, you really pick up on that in this episode.
Yeah, and he's also coming in, and Spike instead is coming with his long coat. So probably long coat with guns underneath. Now we think about. I mean, this is before the Matrix. Matrix is 1 year later.
99.
What do you think about it? Because I mean, now it's like so cliche or a trope like this. Somebody coming with a long coat and then inside full of guns, right? But yeah, I think that before that scene in Matrix, we didn't see that often. But maybe it was already there in the Hong Kong action cinema, right?
Yeah. Well, basically, yeah. So I mean, so what happens is you see Faye, she's at gunpoint, and what happens is Spike doesn't.
First they meet with the two of them, right?
Yeah, they have dialogue.
Vicious and Spike,
yeah, and basically he confirms that he killed Mao because he lost his fangs. Like he was becoming moderate. He was getting old, right? He was getting conservative. He was not kicking anymore as he used to. I think that's a little bit of the way, because probably making peace with the rival was also a way to close a chapter, right, and make it a little bit more quiet.
Did Vicious also kill the other guy with this like exploding? I mean, exploding the spaceship. I think.
What do you think?
Right?
What do you guys think?
Of course, yeah.
That was and so.
But I mean that basically he killed Mao because Mao, as head of this organization, he was turning moderate. He was not continuing anymore to fight.
But do you think that Vicious knows Spike is alive and is trying to lure Spike?
That's a little bit. It's unclear. How does he know?
Yeah.
How does he know? Because also later from these flashbacks, we don't know exactly which order, what happens exactly. But
and there was when the scene with Annie, she was referring to someone. I don't remember the name. She was saying that she was talking to someone, and he had a feeling that that Spike is still alive. Who was she?
With Mao, I think.
Oh, Mao. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I thought maybe she was mentioning Vicious, and then.
No, I think Vicious is really like another level.
Okay.
And but please continue, Joe.
Yeah. So basically, you see Faye, and she's at gunpoint by one of Spike's henchmen, and you expect this whole. They basically say to Spike, "But put your gun down," and you expect this whole scene to play out. But Spike doesn't hesitate. He just shoots him, bang, between the eyes, and it's just like, here we go. Like he doesn't give a shit. He's just like, he's there to do what he needs to do, and you just basically start this massive shootout, and this is where you come into the two film references that I've got. And so you've got Spike running around in this cathedral setting, running between these columns. And that, for me, was just like a real... I guess the Wachowskis took from that for the scene in The Matrix, when they're in the lobby, when it's with Neo and Trinity, and they go in the lobby, and they want to go and save Morpheus. And then and this is the scene when they come in with the big coat, slow motion, and it's like they have just... all these guns and everything, and they're running through, and it's in slow motion, and you get all these incredible shots. And there's a distinct scene where Neo is running past these columns, and they're kind of getting destroyed by shotguns and guns and things. And I thought, when I saw this Bebop, I was like, there's definitely something going on there. And it's known that the Matrix is it's got lots of anime.
Ghost in the Shell, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to find out whether they were indeed inspired by this.
Yeah, well, I would say almost definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also you get this big shootout in this cathedral, and this is also a direct reference to the John Woo's 1989 film The Killer with Chow Yun-fat, which is something when I was a young kid, like I wasn't watching so much of the Hollywood action films, but my dad actually got me on these 80s Hong Kong cinema. So it's kind of what I watched a lot as a kid. And yeah, you have this scene when he teams up with a cop and they have to defend this blind woman who Chow Yun-fat's character had accidentally blinded in a shootout, and it's basically the same scene. It's like it's this church, there's candles, it's dark, there's the odds are against them, blah blah blah, and it's and well, yeah, that's like almost a direct relation to this. Yeah, so there's two massive influences in this scene, one before and one after.
Yeah, or legacy after. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's it. Legacies.
Yeah, and I think the you see that the Spike that Spike is very skilled with his weapons, right? And but still, then he's then Faye leaves the cathedral, and you see again this Dutch angle looking up, but then there's the explosion because he just dropped his dropped the hand grenade, and then she's a little bit afraid, like, whoa, what happened? She looks back a little bit scared, and that moment actually you have this. So she's afraid. Then we have Spike going up the stairs and shooting, but at the same time being shot. So this again, I think there's also another Lupin reference because it's also like this continuing shooting on the stairs, and then there's a cut, right?
Yeah,
and then we are in the bebop, and at the same time, so Spike is shot, and then another sort of almost biblical reference, and then it's like Jet cutting a branch because it's like he's probably thinking about.
He's cutting a bonsai tree, isn't he?
He's cutting a bonsai tree. So now we see also that he has many hobbies. This guy loves to cook, right?
Yeah.
And he has his own mini gardening. But then he makes a mistake because he cuts a branch that it was not supposed to cut.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think that means, guys?
No, because
what do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is like, okay,
Spike
makes a mistake, he makes a mistake, and it's also like, or it's something painful, right? Yes, this pain is moving through. First you have indeed Faye afraid, and then you have Spike getting hurt, and then the pain is continuing into Jet making this mistake, and then it's like it gives you this little bit.
Yeah, I saw it more as that, but also maybe the bonsai tree sort of represented their relationship as well in a way, and it's because after he cuts it, he realizes shit. Like he even mumbles like "God damn it," and he runs out. It's like he realizes that the connection between the two, and maybe if he'd lost Spike, if Spike did die, then yeah, maybe how upset he would be, and irreplaceable, just as much as the branch of this tree. It's going to take forever for that to grow back. And actually, having owned a bonsai tree myself, if you do cut too much off, they do die quite easily. It's quite a difficult thing to maintain, and it's quite an art to it, and there's a lot that goes into it. So I think there's something going on there with inside Jet's mind, in his head and his thinking, and it's like, boom, shit, I gotta do something. I need to go.
Yeah, he let Spike go on his own, but he was never all right with it, and he feels responsible for him. And he's like is he older than Spike? Because he looks a bit like a father, a home guy. Yeah, so he's cooking and he's taking care of this bonsai trees, and so he's kind of a kind of like the one who's holding everything together, and he feels like he needs to take care of Spike, and that's why he was never all right with this mission,
Yeah.
and that letting him go on his own. So it's also quite nice that he's so that he wants to help him.
Yeah, because Faye indeed calls first, and he's like, "No, I'm not going. I'm not going." And then it's like, "Oh, God damn it, indeed." And then because of course especially in the mangas, especially shonen manga, like a little bit younger one, like friendship is one of the key themes. It's one of the key tropes. Like you always, I mean, doesn't matter. It's not because you want to save the world, but for your friend, you go back. You go into the fire. This is always like you never let your friend go. So it's something like it's really.
Yeah, do you think that's also just in Japanese culture in a way? Because I pick up that a lot when I play video games as well, particularly from the 90s, these JRPGs and things. It's like, it's always about friendship and loyalty and these kind of things. You go the extra mile for them, and yeah.
I think they call them like the golden rule or something. They have like 4 elements, and one of them is the friendship. Instead, indeed, above alles, like above everything, like above all kind of other stuff. Like, and then, of course, at the same time, it's a little bit, it's like a bit of a moral. Of a comic, they want to keep that always running, and so that's always should be there. If it's not there, if it's like you have to be genuine, if you're faking stuff like that, then the audience is not gonna like it. If you're like a fake person or a fake character, is never. If you have that one as a main character, then you get all negative reaction from the readers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So we kind of have this scene where Spike and Vicious are basically they basically pinned each other. It's like it's you have Spike with his gun and you have Vicious with his sword, and they're equals in that sense. They both have each other in a deadlock.
They're also sort of I think they're also sort of two halves. I mean,
yin yang sort of thing, isn't it? They create balance maybe between each other, and what's kind of cool about that is that you have this almost Renaissance sort of pose. So you have Spike on the ground and you have Vicious kind of standing over him, and it reminded me a lot of the scene in Reservoir Dogs from I think 92, right? It's Dogs or 93. Where you have, I believe it's Harvey Keitel's character with the gun pointing to what's the guy's name, Roth, and he's over, he's got the gun looking at him, and the other guy's got a gun at him, and it's sort of this kind of triangle, this really beautiful composition.
The Mexican standoff, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, but with one on the floor and one standing, and it's like that's quite an iconic image. And again, going back to this 80s Hong Kong cinema, where actually this is the early 90s, but in Hard Boiled, also Chow Yun-fat, there's a scene when he's fighting the triads in a warehouse, and there's an undercover cop, and they don't realise that they're both cops. And as the cloud disperses, or the fog, they both have the guns at each other, and it's a similar kind of thing. This standoff of these two characters. So yeah, I think there's a lot going on there as well when we're talking about movie reference. Yeah,
and then you have this. They shot and cut at the same time, right? But then there's like they seem really equal, but then you see like this super fast reaction of Vicious that maybe also reveals that he's a little bit maybe under the same drug as the guy from the first episode, right?
Oh, you mean because he's so fast?
Yeah, he's so fast, and he's grabs with his face.
The red eye.
Red eye.
Yeah. I was also thinking about Vicious's weapon. Okay, so it's a sword, a sort of katana.
Yeah.
and this might seem a little bit kind of crude, but it's a spike. You know, a sword is a sharp spike. It's like, is there something there between the sword and spike as his name? You know, his kind of Achilles heel or something.
Yeah, and it's funny that he's using sword. I mean, because they're using like very modern guns. Yeah, you can probably do someone like the gun.
Japan. Come on, it's in Japan.
Yeah, there's got to be a sword. Yeah.
And there is also sword in one of these in another John Woo movie, right? There's also a scene where there's like I've seen. I was looking for this reference, and there's like a scene, like a crowded scene, and at some point there's a guy.
In a bed.
And there's also katana showing up.
Yeah, it's a Better Tomorrow too with Chow Yun-fat. Yeah, that's definitely there. They have a samurai sword, against the Uzis. Yeah. You know, that's what sells these things. You know, this is what everyone wants to see. It's like modern samurais.
Yeah. And also, like just before meeting Vicious, you have basically Spike just checking headshots, like bam, 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 after each other, right?
Yeah.
All this, and there's also another fun service scene with like the Uzi shooting everywhere, and then that was before when Faye was moving out, and there's just like also having like a bouncing moment, because of the gun. Now, by the way, I have to say, now this iconic moment of the sword against the gun is beautifully made with this rose window, and then of course rose window is there for a reason, because Vicious crashed him in there, right? But then and then it seems like it's over, but at the same time, looking back, there is a hand grenade just behind his back. Yeah, and then
what do you think of that scene, Robert, when he's falling through this glass?
And the music is back.
Right? Yeah, the music is back. It's amazing when it's and then so he's falling down and he's looking up, and I think then he has these flashbacks of his life, right? That's when it happens, and it's all around this music and the glass in the air. I think it's also really super nicely made, and it really catches the attention. As Gabi said, at that moment he's like, oh no, it cannot be the end, right? Because it feels like no, what else can happen? I mean, he's clearly falling down, and it's is he gonna die now? Because it feels it could be like a final scene of some movie, and then you think like, oh no, something else must happen, but then you're like, what?
Yeah, almost like when Alan Rickman's character falls in Die Hard, the first one, through from the skyscraper, this slow motion smash. It could be the death of a main character. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I thought it was just incredible. You have these hints of this past, and it's in black and white, and then there's this red rose that keeps flashing back up, and there's a scene of this woman, and I don't believe we know exactly who it is but she's tearing up this letter or something. She's throwing it out the window, and it's falling in pieces, and then that kind of echoes back to the glass falling around Spike at the same time, so you have this kind of direct correlation. It's really nicely animated. And we find out that in Spike's past he'd also been close to death, that he'd something has happened, and
and that comes back now.
It's coming, it's kind of reoccurring in a way, and he's basically getting nursed by this female character, but it's all a bit ambiguous still.
We see her also in bed with Vicious, right?
Okay.
We see really briefly her in bed
very
with Vicious,
briefly, yeah,
and also like playing pool. It's like Vicious playing pool, and then there's also like I don't know from who's that. Like you see these roses, and then next to the roses there is like this red vial, which could be like, again, this red eye. But I don't know for who's that one, right? And no, I didn't see. I was thinking about this paper, but do you think it's a letter? So do you think it's a letter?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel because it's like a scene of her looking out this window. I assume to Spike on the street level, and it's almost as if she's ripping up something and throwing it out. And I pictured it as almost like a love letter or something. You kind of, it's like, no, I reject you or something, and I don't know what it is, but there's something between that shot and the glass, and it just looks really incredible.
And then there's a scene also where there's like one of these sepia frame where this lady is also like a gun pointed at her head, right? So that could be also like maybe Vicious coming in and like, okay, now you're mine. Or we don't know exactly, because there's
could be a love triangle. You mean?
Yeah, it is definitely a love triangle, because Spike has something for her and with her, and then there is a scene over her in bed with Vicious. And then there's a scene of Spike waiting down in the rain, right? And with roses. And then apparently there are the same roses where there was a gun in there. And then when he's going in the other church, we saw in the flashback of the very first scene, right, of the first episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have these pieces. We don't know yet.
No.
What they mean. But yeah.
But it's it's worth a watch just for this scene alone. It's just beautiful.
Music.
Yeah, it just works so well.
Yeah.
And we cut back to.
Yeah, then this ends basically the magic of this episode, and then we have a
epilogue, right? Kind
of.
Yeah,
the epilogue I think bring us back in the normal mood. What do you think? The epilogue is no, you can go for epilogue. There's of course the same girl humming music, and then he goes and he's like a mummy. Okay, mummy.
Yeah.
And who's awake after 3 days?
Yeah.
Like Lupin in a Castle of Cagliostro.
Yeah. It's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah. 3 days, like fully, what they called, bandaged up. Yeah. It's just like direct, pull from that. And
then he's making a sign like, come.
Is Faye humming the same song as Julie was humming when he was back then when she was nursing him? Is it the same song or is it?
Yeah, seems like
Okay.
So what does he say, Gab? What does he say to Faye?
Now he's completely bandaged also on his mouth. Okay, then so he makes a sign like, okay, please remove the bands from his mouth, and then. He says to her that she's singing basically off key, right?
Yeah.
And she gets pissed off.
Yeah.
And then the music changes, and you have really the feeling, okay, now we are back in the
back to normality.
Yeah, but that's also it's well written, that they make this thing to connect this to moments from his life, because clearly she's not Julie, and that's he wants to let her know that she's not the same.
Yeah, maybe that song really means something to him, and
because in the first he was asking the Julie, right, just do it exactly this to me, and sing that way and continue doing this, because that was a kind of a balsam for his heart, and was helping him to recover. And I think because it looks like he was in love with her.
Yeah, I think for what we have seen up to now, it seems like that something happened, and then basically he's fighting either against his former partners, like these Red Dragon guys, again in this church scene, and then basically he gets shot there, and then they think he is dead, or he's playing dead, and then he's going the only safe harbor, and it was her place, right? But this is just I'm just assuming. I don't exactly remember how that goes. I'm really feeling like if I was watching for the first time.
But that kind of ends as well with
Oh yeah, the
with
cards.
Faye throwing also going back to what I was saying earlier about the cards and the Ace of Spades. So she basically throws all these playing cards on Spike when after he insults her, and we get this comedic moment, and we're back to normality. And then the one that lands on Spike's head, and he picks it up, and we see it. It's the Ace of Spades again, and that's basically the end of the episode. And so I go back to what I said earlier. What do we think this represents? Like, it's obviously important.
Is it death? Yeah, I didn't get it yet.
Yeah, so I mean, well, Ace of Spades is known, I guess, as the best card in the deck. That's the best you can have. So there's also something about that, and maybe you could think about Spike as being the Ace of Spades, the best, you know. And it's
Or
back.
lucky.
It's lucky, yeah. He's back, you know. He's got the card again. He's got his card, and then the other scene, it was on the floor. So there's something about it, you know. But the main thing I think is that actually the Ace of Spades in tarot cards, if you look at it in that way, it's it's a death card. But the death is not represented as a literal death. It's more the death of your previous self. So it's a change of lifestyle. You have a new way of thinking, or you could even think that you're being reborn. So there's something, if you think about it like that, then we might think that Spike is, in a way, he's changed after this experience, or there's a new thinking, there's a new way of being, or, you know, he did die, he got shot, and he's back in this. So there's, you know, there's all of that kind of symbology coming, you know, or you might think of,
because also
religious,
Jesus also got
exactly.
back
I was
after
about to
3
say,
days.
I was hesitant to say, but Jesus,
resurrected. From the.
So I think the director is, you know, in what's his name again? Watanabe. Like, there's a lot of thinking in this. You know, it's not just this like A to B, like this is it's like he's dropping clues in lots of things in this, like we said, like we discussed, the music and the references and the little details, it's all coming together. There's a whole plot here, and I think that makes this episode just really magical. And I love that. I love just picking up on all those little cues and things. It's
Sure, it was not that much happening in this episode in terms of like plot and events, but there was a lot of those little things and hints, and then you can it makes sense to watch it more than once to pick up all these little signs.
Yeah, I think I watched it back to back, like one after another. Like Gabby said, watch it 2 times, and I was like, one time for pleasure and one time for the notes. But no, I loved it. Yeah.
But I was for you, Robert, because I think it was sort of a roller coaster, right? Also of emotion, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I said. That's why I didn't remember all the details, because it was because you just when you watch it for the first time, you're just falling into this atmosphere and the beauty of all the scenes in cinematography, all the paintings. So just enjoying that, and so that's what I would. That's how I took it for the first time, and so I loved it. It was really nice, and clearly different than the 3 other episodes, which are a bit lighter, and but this one is like, okay, this is a turning point, and there's something very serious going on right now. We're getting very much into the troubled characters and their mysteries, and an invitation for more.
Gabby, what any kind of final thoughts or anything you want to touch upon?
I think it's hard to stop now, right? What do you think? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, I definitely want to finish up. You know, I want to see what happens. I want to know. Yeah, totally. It's fantastic.
Now the characters are like fully fledged. Yeah, we have We have something. We know something about each of them. Yeah, about Jets, about Faye, Spike, yeah, mostly. Yeah, now you can start.
Well,
connecting
instead of us knowing things, what they've done is they've posed questions.
Yeah.
Now we have questions,
Yeah.
and
We want to follow now.
yeah, that's what pushes you on. It's like,
Yeah.
what is going on with these people? What is Faye's history? What's Jet's history? You know, what's Spike's history like, and why they, you know, how they intertwined, and yeah, for sure, yeah. So we've been yakking for 2 hours, I believe. This is a long podcast, and thank you for everyone that listened all the way through and stuck with us. Just going to say, yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, of course, leave any comments, any questions on the channel. Catch us on Instagram, Bawnjourno. And follow us, of course, on YouTube with the Bawnjourno podcast. The more subscribers, the better for us. And I believe...
See you next time. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. A pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And thanks for your commitment, Rob.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, one last thing. I was thinking about this earlier. Robert is otherwise known as Bob. Cowboy Bebop.
I'm the Bob. I'm the Bob one.
He's the Bob. All right, guys. Stay tuned. Ciao.
Ciao. Thanks. Bye-bye.